Welcome to Dropping In, a podcast of storytelling and interviews with your host, Winter Olympian Mercedes Nicoll.
Thank you so much for dropping in. This is series 12, where I'm finding out what it's like for Team Canada to make their way to the 2024 Paris Olympics. Now, from July 26th to August 11th will be the Olympic Games in Paris, and the Para Games will be August 28th to September 8th, 2024. Now, all eyes will be on Paris. Let's get real. These are the first non-COVID Olympics that we've had in 2 Olympic Games. So very exciting. I'm excited to see how these athletes have overcome obstacles, setbacks, or delays during their pursuit to get to these games. As I said, this is series 12 of Dropping In. Thank you so much for dropping in today. Now, this is episode 107, and we are recording Thursday, May 8th, 2024. Let me introduce the guest that we'll be dropping in with today. Born and raised in Southern California, she is a former BMX professional turned mountain bike professional. She raced professionally for 15 years, earning the titles such as mountain bike downhill dual World Cup winner, World Championship medalist, silver and bronze, 5-time U.S. national champion, X Games gold medalist, 2022 BMX Hall of Fame inductee. In 2007, she was paralyzed from the waist down in a Jeep King of the Mountain race at a mountain race at Beaver Creek in Colorado. After years of rehabilitation from her spinal cord injury, and a hiatus from high-level sport, she began playing wheelchair tennis. In 2010, she moved to North Vancouver and is now a proud Canadian citizen. She quickly transformed from her tennis to wheelchair basketball and made the Canadian women's national team in 2018. She went to win the Pan Am gold in 2019, qualified for the Tokyo 2020/2021 Paralympics, coming in 5th place. She went on to the Commonwealth Games gold in 2022 and now has qualified for the 2024 Paralympics. She has won the 2022 Wheelchair Basketball Canada Female Athlete of the Year, 2022 BC Wheelchair Basketball Female Athlete of the Year, and the 2024 North Shore Sports Awards Para Female Athlete of the Year. Woo! This friend, daughter, U.S. national champ, public speaker, athlete of the year, X Games gold medalist, Paralympian, is going to her second Paralympics with Team Canada. Let's drop in with Tara Llanes. There you are. How are you?
I'm good. I feel like I really need to redo that bio and just cut like it's just
You did so much.
it's wordy.
No, but I think it's a lot and it's amazing and you've done so much. So kudos to you.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Okay, are you ready to drop in with the 10 rapid fire questions you've never seen before?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, number 1. What's your favorite childhood memory?
Oh my God, that's deep. Uh, you know, probably going to the BMX track with my mom. It was just her and I, single parent. She was my mechanic. I don't know. We had some really amazing times traveling to races together. So
Okay,
I'd say
cool.
that.
Very cool. I like that. Number 2, if you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
I feel like being invisible is kinda creepy. So, I think I I think I'm gonna go with, like, flight.
Okay. Yeah, that's like a lot of people say that one. And a lot of times this question comes up, the superpower one. Number 3, what's the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
Um, I was at the World Championships when I was racing mountain bikes. They were in, Cairns, Australia. I can't remember the year off the top of my head. And we went, scuba diving and snorkeling at the Great Barrier Reef in the morning, and then we came in from that, and we went straight to bungee jumping.
Oh, how big was the bungee jump?
I can't remember. I don't know, it was off a crane, and
Okay.
it was like, I don't know, the water looked about that big at the bottom.
Yeah, tiny, tiny.
Yeah, I don't remember it, but it was far enough. It was more than 10 feet, so it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
far.
yeah, yeah. Wicked. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Number 4, how do you balance training and personal life?
Uh, Probably not very well.
I didn't
Um,
either.
Honestly, uh, I think you try to balance them the best, that you know how, and I think maybe sometimes your relationship and friendships win over, and sometimes sport does.
Yeah, that's so true. That's really well put because it is a challenge getting like focusing on sport and then also like trying to make your friends happy. But if they're good friends, they know that they're always going to be there and you're going to come back.
Right, yeah.
Okay, number 5. If you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would you go and why?
Um, you know what? Probably somewhere in BC.
Oh, wait, where are
Like,
you right now? I didn't even ask that.
I'm in North Van.
Okay.
Yeah. I just got home from I think I was home, like, 6 days this last month. So, it's I very much love BC, and I
Hmm.
think there's so many places around here that are way more beautiful than anything else in the world.
Yeah,
So, I'd probably travel around here.
wicked. That's a good answer. For those of you that haven't come to BC, know what's up. You know what's
Yeah.
okay, and number 6. What's your go-to comfort food?
Probably pasta.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably what I'd have before a competition, and it's just I don't know. It's feels good.
Okay. Any kind of sauce?
I'll mix it up. I'll
Yeah.
go with, like a red pepper garlic sauce or like a pesto.
Homemade or store-bought?
No. Let's not no. I would love to think that, but no.
Okay, okay, cool. Number 7, are you more into books or, like, putting on a movie or watching a show?
For sure, a show. I
A
would
show.
love to be a book person. I
Yeah.
wanna be that person, but I'm not that person.
I became that person. I have a
Oh, good for
problem.
you. That's
Oh,
amazing.
no, I think it's, like, a problem.
Oh, really? Being a
Yeah.
book person?
Yeah, because I read books and I'm like, I can't put it down, and then I have no friends for, like, however long I'm reading that book.
Well, I don't know. I think yeah, I wish I had a little bit of more of that in me.
Oh, well, I'll gift it to you if you want
Great,
it.
thank you.
Okay, so since you're into shows and movies, number 8, what's the best thing that you've watched recently?
Um, Recently, um, you know what? Started watching this show called Sugar
Oh, okay.
on Apple Plus with Colin Farrell,
Oh, good?
and yeah, it's kinda takes you I got to, like, episode 9, and then it took me on a hard right. But I don't yeah, no, it was intriguing, it was good.
Okay, nice. Number 9, who is your biggest role model for inspiration?
For sport inspiration?
Whatever you desire.
I don't know that I have any one specific athlete, but athletes um, that just train their ass off and are
Yeah,
super focused and know how to turn off the noise of everything else to focus on the task at hand.
yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Number 10, last one. Can you share a memorable moment from your Paralympic journey so far?
Um, you know what? Probably just a lot of times when we travel with the team. But I remember right when we got our luggage before Tokyo,
Yeah.
and we were in Toronto, and they wheeled all the luggage bags in, and then I decided that I could swear that I could fit in the luggage. So we did that. I don't know, it's just one of the things that popped into my head. So we stuffed me into the luggage, and I actually did fit.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I love that. So you're thank you for doing the 10 rapid fire questions, which are never rapid. It just gets the listeners to know more about you, which is awesome. Um, I do I love that story about fitting in a bag because my sport was a single person sport, but I had teammates. But you like have like a real team and do fun things like that probably all the time.
I mean, yeah, sometimes. Sometimes we're too exhausted to do anything, but a lot of times we'll try to prank each other.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, we've done that at different tournaments, different events, and just try to keep it light, you know? I mean, it's a long season.
Yeah.
You're you're for some of the years we were centralized,
Mhm.
so we're spending a lot of time with each other, so you gotta kinda keep things light.
Yeah, fair. Let's talk about that. Basketball, how did that become your sport? I mean, you started with wheelchair tennis. How did basketball become the one?
Um, I actually wanted to get faster on the tennis court.
Okay.
So there was, a player that had retired from basketball. He played on the senior men's team.
Mhm.
Richard Peter was his name, and, otherwise known as Bear. And
Okay.
he's like, "Well, hey, if you wanna get faster on the tennis court, you should really train in basketball." So I started to go out to some practices, and then I kinda just didn't realize how much I missed team sport.
Okay.
I had played some team sports growing up,
Yeah,
and, tennis it's a pretty individual sport,
for
you're
sure.
staying with on your own, you're playing on your own, so it was nice to get back to having other people that sorta had your back and
Cool.
you had theirs, so
That's awesome. No, I am so intrigued as to how people get into their sport, so I appreciate you breaking that down for us. Um, okay, and then 2010, Baja, you moved to Canada. What happened there?
Um, I I started dating someone that I'd known years prior,
Okay.
that was Canadian.
Aha.
So, then it just yeah, I she said, "Hey, do you wanna move up to Canada?" I said, "Yep," and
It's as easy as that.
there you go. Yeah, it was
Okay.
as easy as that. Like, I mean, I think, there were a lot of things that were kinda converging at the same time, and probably one of those things was, I somewhat recently broke my back,
Yeah.
and, you know, having a change, I think, for me at that time,
Mhm.
um, I thought would be a good thing.
Okay.
So that's how I ended up here, but then I moved here and I was like, "Oh my god, this is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen."
Yes.
So I stayed.
Very cool. A little bit different from growing up in Southern California, though.
Yeah, I mean, like when I grew up there, it was a pretty great place to grow up,
For
at
sure,
the
it's
time,
sunny all the time.
yeah, like we don't know, like I still go by Fahrenheit. Don't
I won't
judge.
judge you.
Don't judge. Like, I go by Fahrenheit, like, I go by miles, it's just ingrained in my brain, but,
Yeah,
so, like, it'd be 90 degrees on Christmas Day, and you
right.
I mean, that's hot.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a pretty great place to grow up, and then, yeah, moving here, it was just so green and so lush, and it was just, like, mountains and ocean and trees, and I was just you know, uh,
yeah.
it was like yeah, living in North Van is probably like for you living in Whistler. I'm like,
It's just normal.
it's just yeah, it's right in the middle of
And
all of the
beautiful.
nature.
Yeah, I love it, I love it so much. So then did you get into, tennis in Vancouver?
Yeah, I hadn't played before, and, my wife at the time had was walking the dog and saw an indoor tennis facility and just happened to walk in,
Yeah.
and, she said, "Do you do wheelchair tennis lessons?" and the wheelchair tennis coach for the national team was in the lobby.
Oh, come
So, it
on.
was just, like, one of those things that just it was kinda meant to happen.
Yeah.
So she said, "Well, hey, I wanna, get my partner a lesson," and then I went and tried it, and it is so hard. I don't know if you've ever played tennis, but it is just, like, one of the hardest sports I've ever played.
I mean, I love tennis, but I can't imagine doing it in a wheelchair.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was a whole other thing, trying to hold the racket and push at the same time. I mean,
Right?
like, over time, it's like you figure it out, but in the
Yeah.
beginning,
Yeah.
like, I just wanted to hit the ball, but just getting to the ball was a
Right.
whole other ball of wax.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So anyway, so yeah, I started that's how I kind
That's
of
cool.
randomly
Okay,
found it.
and then you're like, "I wanna get faster."
Mhm.
Income, team sport, wheelchair basketball, and now I feel you were talking about it being centralized. Was that when it was in Toronto, or has it always been in Vancouver, or where is it now?
No, it was in Toronto for years,
Okay.
for I don't know how many, but yeah, like, my first year on the team was 2018, so
Mhm.
for the first, like, 3 years, we were centralized, and then right after, Tokyo, they decided not to centralize anymore, so now it's sort of based on, like, a camp system.
Okay.
So you'll go to a camp, maybe down at the US, Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, and, either there or I mean, we kinda have them a little bit all over. We've had them in Vancouver, we've had them in the Netherlands, so I think that's the plan, leading into Paris is just camps.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
And let's talk about you guys qualifying for Paris. For the listeners and the people watching, how does that work for your team?
Well, it was a little different this year. In years past, they would always qualify 12 teams in the
Okay.
men's and the women's. After Tokyo, they decided to only qualify 8 teams.
Oh, rude.
Uh, well, I mean, I kind of
Wait,
understood why.
not like 4 and 4 for men,
No,
women, but
no,
like
like 8,
8
8, and
women,
8.
8 men. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
rather than 12.
yeah. But they base it off zones, and so some zones don't have the same amount of funding as others. So those teams just aren't at the level that you would want to see at, like, a Paralympics or an Olympics. So,
Okay.
you might play, like, Algeria, and then they're getting beat in their pool, like, 92-7,
Right.
you know?
Yep, got it. Got it.
So they kinda have to find another way to build their program
Yeah.
in order for it to be a more of a level playing field.
Okay. And is
So
8 enough, or is it challenging for you guys to qualify?
It, I mean, it was like, we had to go to a last chance qualifier
Oh,
for our team, and I
dang.
mean, we're a good team,
Yeah.
um, but we had to go to a last chance qualifier in Osaka. I don't know, what month are we in, May, like,
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, we qualified, and
Yeah.
so we went there were 8 teams, and the top 4 qualified.
Oh,
So
man.
now when you look at the 8 teams total that qualified for
Yeah.
Paris,
Yeah.
like, there will not be an easy game. There and so
Okay, how do you feel
gonna
about
look really
that?
good. Well, I mean, you always wanna play against the best teams, the strongest teams, you know,
So this is, like, real, like, more competitive than your first para games will be,
yeah,
or have
like,
been.
Tokyo, you knew you were gonna have
A couple
an
games.
easy 1 or 2 easy games.
Okay. This
But
is real.
so this is yeah, so, now you're gonna have pool A and pool B, and every game
Not belittling that that wasn't real, but this is, like,
no,
a
but
little
it's
more
just
stressful.
it's yeah, it's just a different level of basketball, and,
Cool.
where yeah, so every game is gonna be super competitive. So I think
Wow.
for the viewers, it's gonna be pretty exciting.
Awesome. I look forward to it. I think it's a very, very cool sport to watch. So that's August. Do you have your
Yeah.
flight booked and everything?
No,
Is
we've
the
got
team chosen? Like, are you how does that work? How
have
does
they chosen what?
the team like, is the team that you qualified with the team that's gonna move forward to Paris?
They haven't, like, announced that team yet.
Okay, okay,
I mean, I think we all have a pretty decent idea of who those players are gonna be.
okay.
I think it's probably important that the team that you've had and played with for months
Yeah,
you wanna meld those people together.
yeah.
Um,
Are you all mind readers?
Absolutely not. No. Uh-uh.
Not
It's just
yet.
that's just my take. Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
unless something crazy happens, I feel like I have a pretty good idea of the team that's going.
But when you're on the court, are you mind readers from each other because 'cause you've been playing so much
Oh,
together?
well, sometimes, I mean,
Yeah,
there's different things that we each as individuals do on the court where,
yeah,
like, if another player kind of moves a certain way or whatever, I think, I'm like, "Okay, they're gonna do this. This is what they're looking to do," or,
yeah.
and then sometimes they absolutely surprise me and I have no idea. So,
But you built a team and you know, like, strengths and weaknesses and all of that, so
yeah.
that's super cool. I wanna touch on your training routine as a team because you're decentralized. Where are you training? How are you training? Walk us through that.
So me personally, I do all of my training in North Van or the Oval out in Richmond.
Mhm.
And so I'm the only national team athlete that's in BC.
Oh, no way.
So that's kind of a kick in the pants for me. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, so when when we had the academy in Toronto, that academy would once you sort of reached a certain level, they
Yeah,
would want you to move out there,
right.
which then kinda makes it really difficult for the provinces to grow
Yeah, that's
because you're
true.
kinda taking all the best players and you're taking them and you're moving them to Toronto instead of keeping them in your province.
Mhm, mhm.
So anyway, so I the majority, I'd say 90% of the training that I do is by myself.
Okay. But
Um
if you're out at the Oval, would, like, the wheelchair rugby team be out there? Not often?
No, those guys, yeah, they're not there. They're kinda spread all over, and they're going to different, like, tournaments and stuff, so,
Yeah,
there's a couple guys that I try to wrangle that
yeah.
were from Canada Games,
Okay,
and they're a couple good kids, and they like to push hard, and so, I'll try to get them on court and,
nice.
just do some sprints and really try to push each other,
Yeah, that's awesome.
but it's certainly not, uh a regular thing.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's challenging. How okay, this is an interesting thing I wanted to ask you, like, how do you feel being on Team Canada? I know you're a Canadian citizen, but you grew up in the States. Is that, like does that mean anything extra to you, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's ever since I don't know, ever since I moved here, it really gives you a sense of and I mean, this is a broad statement,
Okay.
but it really gives you a sense or it gave me a sense of sometimes how people in the States view themselves, and I was exactly the same.
Okay.
It was very, like, USA, rah, 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 like, really intense kind of stuff and,
Yeah,
like, flying the flag in your front lawn and that sort of thing, and
yeah.
it wasn't until I was kind of removed from that that I was like, "Ooh, that's a bit much." I don't know.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion, so I was just like, "Wow."
Yeah,
Um, so, yeah, being in Canada, and especially because there's such a rivalry with the US,
right.
like, a huge rivalry with the US, um, like, I wanna absolutely rock them every single time we play them. Like, I mean, I
That's
lived there
awesome.
for 30 years, and
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
still wanna take it to them. So, but I still love my US peeps, you
For
know who
sure.
you are. But when we're playing them, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, I wanna win.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Well, I know we're really proud to have you on Team Canada. It's awesome. When these Paralympics are going to be really different from your first ones. Um, was that a decision that you knew you wanted to go to a second Paralympics after you'd gone to the first ones? How did that come about?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna retire after Tokyo. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
And then,
well, then COVID, and then
right?
I was just like, "This is insane," and it wasn't growing up watching, uh, the Olympics, because I hadn't seen a Paralympics that I could remember growing up.
Right. Yeah.
I was always watching the Olympics, and,
Mhm.
um so watching that, I had an idea or a sense of what it should feel like,
Okay.
and so when we got to Tokyo and it was absolutely not that after you've
Yeah.
trained so hard, like, I came home from there and, I think I took, I don't know, like a month and a half and to, like, think about it,
Yeah.
and then I made the decision, and I think in my head, I thought, "Well, it's only 3 years." I mean, 3 years is still a long
I
time,
know.
but I'm like, "Well, it's not 4." So,
It's a good
that
mentality.
that's yeah, that's what I did, and then, yeah, I just thought, I wanna go to a proper Paralympics where you get to go to the opening ceremonies, and it
Yeah.
just knocks your doors off.
Yeah.
And the feeling, like, you must know, right? Like, the
Yeah, it is.
feeling.
I hope you get to go to both. I hope you get to go to opening and closing because it is really special you will feel like it is a different ball game for sure. And having the presence. I mean, I haven't been to a COVID Olympics, but I can't imagine going to them. And I felt bad for everyone that went to those Olympics and Paralympics and was an athlete because I mean, if it was your first ones, you don't know any better. But, I mean, going again, that's huge and not taken lightly, so I hope that all of your dreams come true in that one.
Yeah, me too.
For sure. You touched on retirement, so you do have some plans after retirement, correct me if I'm wrong.
Uh, well, I mean, I have ideas.
Ideas,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, and
yeah.
they have to and do you wanna just share some of those? Because I think they're really cool. I think they're awesome what you wanna do.
Yeah, I mean, I started taking my coaching course,
Mhm.
so, it would be amazing to be able to start doing some coaching here in BC and, coaching some of the young and up and coming talent,
Yeah.
um, in our sport. And, at some point, if that translates, into a national team program,
Mhm.
and, it's kinda interesting because LA 2028, that's pretty full circle for me.
Right.
So I don't know if that's something that's a possibility, but I do believe that if you not only set your mind to it, but if you say it out loud and you put it out to the universe, it's kinda something that can kinda come back for you.
For sure.
So between that and doing more public speaking, I've had some really cool opportunities, at different events,
Mhm.
and just this last year doing the biggest event that I've ever done.
Oh.
So, yeah, it was pretty exciting. I mean, super nerve-wracking, just absolutely sweating, but I feel I feel like you gotta keep putting yourself out there with no
Mhm.
matter how uncomfortable it makes you, and over time, you'll get that comfort level, and so, yeah, that's something that I wanna continue to push to do.
That's awesome, and that's such good advice for the next generation too. I'm sure you have, like, a lot of people you're mentoring or asking you questions because I have people asking me questions, "Well, what do I do?" And I'm like, "That's it, you just keep saying yes to things, and it's pretty awesome what can happen," and a lot of cool opportunities come about, so that's such great advice. Do you have any other advice for up and coming athletes?
Uh Honestly, you kinda just touched on one, which is ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Ask questions, when it comes to the sport, when you when you really want to better yourself and find different ways, whether it be to train or recover or how to read the game, look to veterans on the team that have been
Mhm.
doing it for a long time to be able to ask those questions. I mean, every player that I know on the senior women's team is happy to talk to young players about how they can train better or differently. Like my training environment is pretty different than a lot of the players on our team, if not most.
Okay.
Most of the other players either play in Europe against the men or have a training group that they work with on a consistent basis. So
Mhm.
um, there's some players out there that maybe, who knows, like, live on Pender Island and or some you know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere, and they wanna play, but they don't have other players to play with. So, seek out those players that have been practicing by themselves. What are the drills that they do?
Yeah.
What are some of the ideas that they have to still be able to train and try to make themselves a better player? So, try to think outside of the box a little bit.
I love that. Now, would you say that, from your, previous sport career, able-bodied, you had a passion for those sports on being on a bike, I'm assuming, right?
For, like, BMX and mountain biking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I started racing BMX when I was 11, 12, and I didn't know anything about it. I just saw it off the side of a freeway, and I was just intrigued by it.
Okay.
And then my mom took me, and I fell in love, and I started racing, and that led to mountain biking, which
Yeah.
at the time was, I've sort of described it before, because when I was doing it, it was the
Didn't
late '90s.
Right, so it hadn't,
So
like, fully
I'm
blown up yet.
Yeah, but it was on its way. It was like
Yeah,
snowboarding had, like,
yeah,
happened or was still like that, and then we were kinda riding that wave. So I
for
think,
sure.
like, snowboarding and mountain biking were similar in
Totally.
in some ways, and so, you know, I mean, I never would have thought when I was in high school that I was gonna be a professional mountain biker. I think my mom thought I was just lost my mind, you know? She's like, "You mean you're not gonna go to college and you're gonna go race mountain bikes? What is that?" Like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
I mean, I did, but I didn't either, you know? I just
same,
said,
yeah,
"Yeah, I'm gonna fully commit. I'm gonna graduate high school. I'm gonna move to Colorado, and I'm gonna do it."
yeah.
And I I don't know, like, I did. I mean, I had luck along the way with the people that I met, some of the results that I had, and, um
I don't think results are luck, let's just say that much.
yeah, I mean, yeah, like, I mean, I definitely worked really hard, but I
Yeah,
think there were, like, that first year I was a pro, I broke my collarbone, and I was out for most of the season,
yeah,
but I had had a couple uh, results on a bike that was, uh, inferior, and I think some people kinda took notice, and then
okay.
word of mouth sorta happened, and so there was a spot that was open on the specialized team, and, I was, like, 18, 19,
Y
and they gave me the spot. So, that's, I guess, what I mean by kinda luck with the word of
got it.
mouth,
Yeah, yeah,
because that's what catapulted my career.
for sure. And so, with that passion and love of that, how did you overcome just getting into sport again? Did you know that you wanted to get back into sport? I feel like maybe it's challenging for some people in that situation to go from this passion of sport to injury to getting back into it.
Yeah, I had a lot of years, where well, like, initially, I did get into hand cycling, but I didn't love hand cycling.
That's fair.
I I got into it because I think friends of mine and family wanted to get me into a sport, so I was focused on something, and that was the closest thing to, like, mountain biking at the time. So
Yeah.
I just sorta did it, but I didn't love it.
Okay.
But it took up the hours in my day so that I wasn't just thinking about, "Oh my god, I just broke my back and I broke my neck, and, like, I have no idea where my life's gonna go. I don't know what my identity is." The world
Yeah.
is crashing down. So that was what took up my time during the day to just get me over here a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh, and then but then after, um, I went to nationals and I did well at nationals, and then I quit right after.
Okay.
I was done. I didn't wanna do it anymore.
Yeah.
And then I didn't do anything competitive for the longest that I ever remembered, which was
Okay.
about 5 years.
Yeah.
I didn't play any sports. I didn't do anything until tennis. So that sort of reignited
Okay.
sport and competition for me, and wanting to train and feeling like I was in a place in my life that I wanted to pretty much go balls to the wall. I went from doing
Okay.
nothing to training 5 days a week, on court 5 days a week. So
You're
it was
in.
I was all in. I'm either all out or I'm all in. Like, I'm not
I feel
really.
you on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, yeah, and then which obviously led to basketball.
So freaking such a great story. Your journey is awesome, and I can't wait to hear what's next. Um, you're just an aspiration to so many people around the world. We're so lucky to have you in Canada. I feel like we've learned a lot and so much motivation there. If anyone needs a public speaker, go to you. Hello. Thank you so much for dropping in today. Where can people find you online if they want to follow along?
So you can find me on Instagram. Um, you can find me on TikTok, Facebook. I've got a website with my business. I sell adaptive mountain bikes. So it's my name, TerraYanisIndustries.com.
Perfect.
So yeah, I'm kind of all over. I'm on Twitter, but I don't really post a ton on Twitter. But I'm sprinkled a little bit everywhere.
You know, I used to post on Twitter a lot and then it changed to X and I was like,
I know, and then
I'm
I
not
was just
really
like,
I'm not really getting what I need out of this anymore.
yeah, I don't know, there was something creepy about when it went to X, I don't know. So I just stopped.
Awesome. Well, hopefully everyone will follow you online. Thank you so much for dropping in today.
Thanks, Mercedes.
Today, you can find everything you want to know about dropping in with Mercedes at droppinginwithmercedes.com. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Thanks DJ Kenosis for the music and my mom for the intro voice.